This is a guide for Frost. This guide is going to be a little bit lengthy, so there are timestamps in the description below. Also, there's going to be a summarized version of this long video, link in the description as well. So here we go. So with Frost, Frost is the type of character that thrives in the neutral. She's fine up close. She has some pressure tools, and I'll show you in a second. But essentially, if you play Frost, it's probably better that you're here because you have tools that others don't have, right? Like the back two. Look at how long of a range this one is. And it's staggerable too. So for example, if you do it on block, it's -4. I think it's variable frame data. It is -3. If you're close though, right, you don't want to be staggering and hit right here. You'd be fine, but probably would have to do like something like that. Not just do it twice. You probably want to be here and then do it like that. So for example, I'll change the AI for a second. The other Frost is going to poke as soon as I touch her. So what you do, you're here, you do back two, and you do it again, right? And you open them up if you're fast enough. With punish. With punish, don't even need to move. So if we look at the stagger of back one, this one here, it has a nice range too. It's -8. The frames aren't good, but again, it's possible to whiff punish people after doing back one and two back two. You can backdash if they're aggressive. If they're poking, right, you should be good to go with just back two. Something like that, because they're spacing. Like that, or even with a back two. It's a slow attack, but it's good enough. There are plenty of neutral type of opportunities that you have with Frost. Another good attack is her down 4, this one here. Especially from here, right? It's really hard to get in on a Frost that keeps pushing you back. Now this is on block, but if we look at it on hit, it pushes people back like pretty far away. It doesn't gel into the back two, but it almost gels, right? Because, so what's the hit advantage? It's 14 compared to 19. So there's a couple of frames where she's not gelled, but since it's a mid, right? It's pretty, doesn't really matter all that much. She's not really gonna have time to backdash to do anything else other than block. So even though it's not a perfect gel based on frames, you should be still good to go. Whoa. Okay. Well, okay, that's interesting. People don't usually know this about Frost unless they have the knowledge, obviously. So 2-2 is actually a jail into the back one. So 2-2 is +5, not the completion. Don't do 2-2-4 because that's minus. But -7, right? You return to a neutral. I think there's a flawless block up. Nope, not even interesting. If you end it with 2-2-1, that's a low. It's -8. It's still like it's safe, but you give up those plus frames when you just stagger the 2-2. So here +5 into the back one. So that's 11 -5. So this becomes like a 7-frame move essentially. This is usually guaranteed. Not with everyone, but mostly it gels. Obviously there are ways around this. The opponent can just backdash. Okay, so the other Frost is gonna do this. The game plan. So for example, let's say I try to hit. I got countered, right? So I'm probably gonna be able to poke. No, oh, hold on. 8 frames. Okay, interesting. It's not supposed to happen like this, but okay, if I'm already crouched. Oh, hold on. I trade. I can poke out of this sometimes, not always, so don't really take the chance. This is usually a frame trap, but if you backdash, right, you can whiff Punisher. Like that. So you don't really have to respect this too much. If you have a fast poke, you're gonna get her if you stay crouched. Even though she's supposed to be faster than me. See, sometimes she gets me, sometimes she doesn't. I should be able to consistently get her, actually. Regardless, backdash. And you should be able to whiff punish her and escape that frame trap here if that's what she does. Obviously, she can adjust. She can do this, and when you backdash, she does this, and she's going to get you. But these are just mind games here that you need to get used to. The standing one is pretty good. It's a 0 block advantage stagger, right? 0 is amazing because you know both of you can move at the same time after both of you are done recovering from this move. But the thing is, you know you're going to stagger it. She doesn't. She has to react to the potential follow-up, right? Because of that, you can just do it again. Looks like the hitbox sucks though, so you have to be really close. Oh my god, you see how it whiffs? Sometimes it whiffs, sometimes it doesn't. This game is, or this character sometimes. So this is +3 if you complete it. Is there a flawless block gap? I think there is. There's a flawless block gap, -7, no pushback, it's still safe. No flawless block gap, she's just -3. Not in range for the back one, but in range for the back two. Keep that in mind. You can backdash to and then do the back two. Ironically though, her problem is flawless blockable gaps. Not a lot of people know this about this character, but that's one of our weaknesses. So like I just showed you, the 1-3, I think I did 1-3-2, flawless block gap, 1-3-4, flawless block gap, 2-2, back 2-2, flawless block gap. The second one has a gap. Isn't that interesting? The back 3-2, the 2 has a flawless block gap. Isn't that interesting? You'd think it'd be like the follow-up, which it does, right? But these are gaps everywhere. 4-4-2, flawless block gap. There are flawless block gaps everywhere with this character. But not a lot of people take advantage of this flawless block gap because it's not as easy to get as it would be against Scarlet or Shao Kahn. This is why you don't see her getting flawless block. I'm assuming that at a high level this would be like a killer, which is probably why we don't see her often. Yeah, we're not high level players here. We're filthy casuals. Okay, so pokes. I showed you the back 4, down 4 I mean, which is really good to keep people at range. But there's also the down 3, which is an amazing anti-air. Look at this anti-air. Isn't that awesome? Look at that hitbox. They're not even touching. The feet aren't touching and I'm still getting her. Whoops. Whoa, that's another anti-air right the head. Down back 3. But it's too slow. This is much more reliable. Down 3. So that's a nice one. Like compare this like this. Right? Even to obviously not this, but this one because of the angle. Amazing anti-air, absolutely amazing. So use it as an anti-air. So that's Frost for you. Keep them here, but when you're here, you're still fine. You can do the 2-2 or you can do back 1, right? This is a fast mid, 11 frame mid. It's not a 9 frame mid, but it's also not a 13 frame mid. So it's like right in the middle of being good and bad. Well, not that 13 frames mids are bad, but they're just, you know, they're the regular slow. So this is a bit more faster I mean. No flawless block gaps, even though it looks like there is. So make sure that after you stagger, you take the opportunity to backdash or just stay in the neutral, right? And by the way, this attack here, this one is amazing for chip damage. So what is that called? The blade spin. Okay, look at this chip here compared to this. Really nice, huh? For chip compared to like, you see how there's almost no chip here? Well, you know, it's not bad. But this one kills, so this is pretty cool. And use it like that. Also on block, you can use it to end strings. For example, I use it to end back 2-2 because it's safe either way. -4 for a special is amazing. And you can't duck this. I know it says high, 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 but like these are fake highs. So for example, I'll use... Okay, these are all highs, right? So, and I duck, and I still get caught. So you have to... You can't even... So they're like mids. It's only if you are already ducking, they're not doing a combo on you, and then you do it. That's when it doesn't work. Otherwise, it works like a mid, even though it says a high. In this game, sometimes we have that. She has a projectile, core discharge. We have close, far, but I mean, this is not the best shit in the world. It's pretty bad, actually. It's a pretty bad projectile, and that's why you almost never see people use it. This projectile here is just like good for chip, I guess. I mean, when you look at the chip, the first two are good. The follow-up, that's not a lot. It's not a very good projectile either, slow and stuff, but yeah, that's what it is. The cyber head is actually the armor breaker. Here, I'm gonna break armor here. This build here that I'm showing you is actually my build. It's how I play Frost. I have Ice Auger, I have Air Ice Quake, this one here. It tricks a lot of people because these jump-ins are all overheads. But this one, okay, this is just a mid, and if you start rolling, it becomes a low. Did you guys see that? So look at this here. I start, if I do it here, as soon as I touch the floor, it becomes a low. -7 and safe compared to -17 unsafe when it's the mid. When you do it right from here and you don't have time to touch the floor, it's a mid and it's unsafe. If you have time to touch the floor, it's a low and it's safe. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so Ice Auger, this one here, this is a tech here that you can use to keep people away. Look at these frames. My +8. And what if I just do this? 17, 16. It's plus on block, except if you're close, I think. Yeah, if you're close to her, it's going to be -8. Because a projectile, if you're close, is minus. But the farther you go away with projectile in this game, the more you're plus on block. So if you do it from the neutral, from as far as down 4 touches, the Ice Auger becomes plus, so you are plus. So this means that you do this, and then when they try to run at you to close the distance, because this is never going to stop, right? Actually, yeah, from here. Then that's when you do back 2-2, or you could simply do, she comes in, you do it again, and you do it again, for infinity, right? And there's not really much the other person can do, other than like something crazy like lunging at you, to try to avoid the low, right? That would work when you're fighting another Frost. This one here, it's a high, it's safe, but someone can duck it. But anyways, so yeah, this attack, it doesn't have a lot of combo potential in my opinion, not compared to the microbursts. You can combine them for for two, but for example, let's say I do a normal simple combo, they're pretty far away for me to do anything after. So usually what people do is they simply do the forward 2, and it's 229, 1 bar. Alright. When it comes to the microbursts, I use it in 2 different ways. I use microburst, this attack here, as a combo ender actually, non-amped, because it's +7. And I'm not in range for the back 2, but I'm in range, I mean the back 1, but I'm in range for the back 2. So let's say I do a simple combo here. So that's what a simple BNB looks like if you don't care about the restand. Or you can simply do something like... you get a restand, less damage, you're +7, you're in range for the back 2. So I like to use microbursts. I usually don't end depending on the amount of life, but I usually just... what I mean don't end, I mean I don't like fully complete the combo, I do the restand. Because I like the plus frames, and I don't want them to wake up, because the wake up system in this game is strong, really strong. Quick advice as well, I didn't go through this before when I look at normals, but the back 3-2, is that flawless? Yeah, 2 flawless, well, okay. There are gaps everywhere, but this attack is safe, except if you complete it, right? Don't complete it unless you're already in a combo. So it's fine to throw this out there. I don't recommend it much because it's -16. I mean, it's 16 on startup, and it's only... not only, but it is -13. So this attack, back 3, I usually only use inside the combo. Just a quick tip too, after you've frozen them with the Ice Auger, you have to take a step back and then jump on them. Do jump 2, this one. Not jump 1. I know jump 1 is easier, but jump 2 takes a little bit of practice, but you'll get it. You get more damage, right? 70 compared to 50. Take your time too, like she's frozen for quite a while, right? It looks like 3 seconds, so you have time to just take your time a bit, backdash. Also, when you go for these combos, it's always better. Earlier I showed you something like this, right? Something really simple. That's fine when you're a beginner, but after a while, it's better to do that attack with the standing 3, this one. Standing 3-4-4. Because it does 101 damage compared to 70 damage, right? So that's what you want to use. So like I said earlier, you can use both the Ice Auger and the microburst to combo together if you want to spend 2 bars. The damage is not way more, but it is a little bit more, and I will show you right now. $319 compared to $316. Is it worth it? Not really. I would probably just use the Ice Auger for things like pushing people away like that to reinforce your neutral instead of comboing. Keep the microburst for combo potential and just do it with 1 bar. There's enough damage with 1 bar. It's not worth 3 extra damage, literally 3 extra damage to spend 1 bar. It's not worth it. But if you're about to kill, maybe it might be worth it. That's up to you. Use this as a neutral tool to keep people away, especially after poking. So now we're going to start looking at the specials. I showed you a few. I showed you my build. Now I'm going to start looking at the other ones. So this setup here, not my favorite, simply because it takes a while to get started. This is for really advanced Frost players. It's good when you're really good with it, but yeah, it takes a while to explode. This is the close one. It rolls a bit forward. So, all right, you know. There are some text from here. I made a video on this, right? This is pretty good too as a trap. I actually don't even have a launcher here, but in this variation. After knocking people down, for example, you could go for the trap. Of course, they could move out of there, but if I do something like this, right? It's good for pressure. They can't move forward and things along those lines after you've knocked down. Keep in mind that you cannot use it when you have your head on your hands, right? So you can't use it after this string, which sucks. But, for example, if I do something else like... So when you set up, obviously good for pressure. Are you going to go for a grab, or are you going to simply hit them? So it's pressure. It's good like that on knockdown, I think. There's also a really interesting tech. So the trick for the trap is because you have to grab as soon as the head explodes, right? So if you time it properly, you should always be able to get a grab on them, right? Because even if they tech, they are going to explode and be frozen anyways. So the tech here is you double freeze them, one hit again, and then either you go for the hit like that and they're frozen again, or you go for the grab by keep fucking the grab up. Looks something like this, right? So then they have to guess. I fucked it up, so it's very difficult. So it's either that or freeze them. Dutch. There you go. Here they would just have to block to get out of this. But then you could always grab them. That's the tech right there. I made a video about this, explaining this in more depth. Just look up on Google MK11 Frost head setup, something along those lines, and I should pop up. And you know, by the way, if you're just curious how to beat the one, like I told you before, where I just hit you like this, obviously you just have to block, and you're all going to be fine. How do you beat the one where I grab you? This thing here, how do you beat that? You just jump, neutral jump, and you're going to be fine. So that's the mind game. Do you neutral jump or do you block? You have to guess. So that's a very advanced cryogenic crown. Can't ever say that word. I don't really use it often. I don't even remember if it... I think it takes 2 slots. But anyways. So the Arctic Barrage. You don't see this anymore. It used to be in V1, I think. Because it's just like 90 damage or 130. Okay. You're probably better off to amp it. But it's just like... Okay. It's so slow that I can barely... get it out in time. Okay, I can't with that string. I don't have a launcher. But anyways, it's just an ender. It's not very good. I think there's a crushing blow. Triggers if it counters or punishes a lower ducking attack. Alright, so if they poke and then you throw this out, you have to amp it and you're going to get a crushing blow. So what's the damage? It launches though, which is real nice. Can I combo into it? Yeah, you can combo into it. So not bad. I mean, I think you get it. Now we're gonna switch. Okay, so first the borrowing auger. We've not really seen a lot of techs with that thing. It's pretty slow. It has... Does it track? I think it tracks, right? Oh my god, it doesn't even track and there's no distance control. So there's one variation. Is there... Or is it just not? Yeah, there's definitely no distance control. Okay, stop jumping everywhere. Has to be like in the neutral, like here to touch. It's more of a... Someone told me when I first analyzed this that this is just like an Oki tool. Like you go for the meaty with that from here or something. I don't know. So let's try it. I mean, I guess it could work, but the problem is that by that distance you can't even combo into it. You can do for 2. Yeah, it's just... You can combo into it, but... You can combo into it, but... In real life, this is just not gonna happen. Which is why I think you never see this thing. I don't know why it costs 2 slots. I think it does. Does it cost 2 slots? It does cost 2 slots. Almost useless to me. I mean, other than just on hard knockdowns for pressure. For things where you're just a little bit farther away than neutral. Might be useful. Yeah, like from that string would be good. They would be forced to block here, so it would become a trap from here, from that string. I would have to test it out with many other strings, but yeah, I'm just not sure, boys. If this is good, I've never been sure. To me, it always felt a little bit not good at all. So, anyway, so that's the borrowing auger. The auger lunge triggers a crushing blow if you've landed 3 amplified auger lunge in this match. So that's a fair crushing blow requirement. That's the auger lunge here, if you remember. I keep forgetting, I think it might have been from V2 before, when you used to have variations. It's like a damage tool, like 80 damage compared to... Whoa, can you stop? 140, that's good. Much better. So yeah, this is just another ender. frames are what, 17? Yeah, 17 frames. You can catch people by surprise. I mean, it's a mid, it's unsafe though, right? If we put it on block, yeah, really unsafe. It looks cool, minus 16, but nothing special there. Use it just as a damage ender or something along those lines, or if someone's just walking around freely and not really respecting you, then you can throw it out there. It's kind of hard to react to even though it's supposed to be slow. This move was actually, it's banned in competition. There's a tech at the end. Actually, you know what? I'll try it out. They're fine if they're inside it. It's when they're touching the ice thing here that they can get frozen. And when you're from around here, first of all, it takes bar. If we look at the bar here, it takes 1 bar of offensive meter. I don't amp it or anything. It just happens. There are some setups like you might get punished from here. The only counter is just to hit me while I'm doing this, right? But so let's say we do something else. I'm just doing the normal part here, and this is set up, and now you're frozen. And you're going to be frozen again, right? You have to jump out of this. Am I going to keep my turn? Let me just check here if I'm going to keep my turn while doing this. No, it looks like you lose your turn or you're neutral, but if I do, let's say I do close. Yeah, so close, it means like close to me, right? So this is normal. What? If you throw it out there when they're not in the thing, it's not going to activate. Okay, interesting. I'm just finding this out now. Yeah, so you do the regular one after you hit confirm, of course, don't do it raw, and you should activate, and the corner should trap. So let's say he hits me. Yeah, I can get out of there just by comboing him. But that's a block because I'm timid. Yeah, I still freeze a little bit, but there's like no real excuse since you can just jump out of it. Maybe there's some combos where you can't jump out of it where you're stuck, but yeah, that's about it. I think it should not even be banned, honestly. It's not that strong. It's strong, but you have a few seconds to just move out of the way, right? Okay, so that's the core trap and then the core overload. What does this do again? This is a buff to your damage to the core only. So for example, if I do a normal damage, 130, okay? Now it's not activated. 130 again. That's because the only thing that it buffs is my core. So if I do something like okay, yeah, so I'm gonna do 224. Okay, 161. I'm gonna do 224 again, 139. So that's the buff. I think it lasts pretty long. I mean, if we look here, it looks pretty cool too. It doesn't cost anything and it lasts, let's see how long it lasts, like 5 seconds maybe? I don't think there's, you guys tell me, is there another string where the core hits other than 224? I don't recall. I don't think so. I think that's the only string that it buffs, which is kind of weak. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and when you amp it, eventually it will freeze. Now you're asking, what if the opponent blocks? That's a good question. I think you're going to be able to block it. It's set unblockable, but I don't recall. It looks like it lasts about 6-7 seconds. Maybe I'm just miscounting, but it's supposed to block all. Okay, interesting. It says unblockable, yet Frost blocks it. Interesting. So I guess it's just like a pressure tool, forcing someone to just block. What if we grab and then it explodes? Interesting. If I grab while the core overload amp is on, it disappears. See, it's gone. It won't go out. They thought about that. Interesting. Think about that. About the simple core overload. Does this buff my grab? It's gonna buff my grab. No, it doesn't buff my grab. Unbelievable. Okay. So yeah, I would use this just for pressure. I mean, the opponent knows that this is gonna come out, so they're just gonna keep blocking even though their turn is over, because if they don't, like, they might get caught. So that's one way you can use the core overload. Okay, finally, I mean, it's just the glacier calving. Can't pronounce any of this shit. So yeah, the glacier thing. 11 startup, so it's fast, but okay, doesn't last long. And if you amp it, it just goes farther away. You might be wondering what the hell does this do, and I will show you. Okay, other frost throws something at me. Keep in mind, it's only for one projectile, even if you amp it. See, I amped it. It's pretty useless. Guys, just don't waste a slot on this, please. It is useless. Almost useless. So, alright guys, that's it for the Frost Guide. A little bit shorter and sweeter than the usual, but That is what it is. Make sure to recap that you play her from here. Not from here, but if you're from here, you're still going to be fine because you can use 2-2. Make sure to gel before that, right? And you can also use the back 2, which is pretty fast. Okay guys, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.